what is the impact that is anticipated on drug discovery in the more long term versus what's really happening now?
Yes, I mean, I think I think a lot of people will tell you that, and if you look at some of the KOLs in our space, I mentioned the Nelson et al. Paper a few minutes ago, like Matt Nelson, who's now at Deerfield leading genetics and genomics, or Mark Daly, these types of, sort of leaders in, he's leading up the FinGen initiatives at the broad statistical geneticist that's well known and respected in the whole industry. A lot of these thought leaders believe there's a lot of, that there's a lot left, a lot of green fields as it pertains to genetic targets in complex disease and areas where we haven't had data at this scale. And so getting to the levels of statistical power by disease area from patients doing these large GWAS, FUOS analyses at the scale that we're doing now, it's just something that hasn't been done. And so there is a feeling that we will find some really impactful breakthroughs. If you look at recent, one of the staples of, or often referenced success stories within genetics is PCSK9, which is around cholesterol, and that was a target that was found and subsequently has therapies that have been designed against it. It's been very successful, and the mechanism was clearly identified and leveraged using genetic evidence, and that's kind of the gold standard. And so looking for other targets like this, again, where regardless of the therapeutic modality, having data at the scale that I've referenced, being able to get to the signal and understand those associations with deep clinical longitudinal health record information and a whole genome sequence, not a genotype or other modality, but something as deep and informative as whole genome sequencing, that really we do expect breakthrough discoveries in these indications that have been really challenging in neuroscience, in cardiometabolic disease, across the board. We really anticipate and expect breakthrough discoveries coming on the heels of this deluge of data that's been generated. I do think it's worth mentioning, however, that just because you generate the data, that doesn't mean the themselves. You have to have the infrastructure and the intellectual firepower to get value out of that data. And that's something that is really, really important for not only the biopharma researchers, but also those on the academic and nonprofit side as well. As it's our training and how we're looking at these data is making sure that we have, the statistical geneticists, the bioinformatics folks, the researchers out there to really get value out of this data, and it will help ultimately patients and potentially get to cures, in the nearer term for a lot of these really, very debilitating diseases that the globe suffers from. And so there is anticipated breakthroughs on the horizon, and a lot of thought leaders across companies, nonprofit, profit would I think agree with me on that point. And it's very exciting. So we're excited about not only the breakthroughs, but all of the interesting, how we're going to understand the fundamentals of disease biology and the mechanisms of action because of all the different layers of molecular data that we can generate for patients at the scale that we can generate now. At the cost, of course, has come down significantly, so we can get into these large scale projects. And so, no, I think really the sky's the limit on the breakthroughs that we anticipate. It's just a matter of if, but a matter of when.
Yeah.
But no, it's very exciting for sure.
Yeah.